Good afternoon and welcome to Adbn News at 2. I am Cynthia Okosa. Now the news. Nigeria is among countries affected as a new round of United States tariffs targeting 60 trading partners took effect on Friday, replacing an earlier global duty introduced by President Donald Trump. The new tariffs range from 10 to 12.5%, with lower rates applied to countries that have adopted or pledged to adopt forced labor import bans, while China, Japan, and South Korea face the higher rate. The Trump administration said the tariffs introduced under the Trade Act of 1974 are designed to strengthen U.S. trade policy and are expected to withstand legal challenges after the Supreme Court struck tariff measures. Some products, including steel, aluminum, energy, goods and items covered by the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, are exempt. The Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee has approved the elevation of 68 legal practitioners to the prestigious rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. The decision was taken at the committee's 174th plenary session held on Thursday and chaired by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun. The successful candidates comprise 67 advocates and 1 academic, including 4 women. President Bola Tinubu has approved expansion of the Nigerian Army from 8 to 12 divisions as part of efforts to strengthen Nigeria's security architecture and improve military operations nationwide. The presidency, in a statement, said the move includes the recruitment of 28,000 additional personnel, acquisition of military equipment, improved troop welfare, and continued investment in force modernization. New divisions will be established in Makurdi, Ilorin, Jalingo, and Benin City to improve command, border security, and response to emerging threats. According to the statement, implementation will be carried out in 2 phases, with the first expected to be completed by September 2026 and the second by December 2026. President Tinubu also commended officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army, reaffirming his administration's commitment to supporting the armed forces. National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, and the Ministry of Defense have entered a strategic partnership in line with legal provision of the new Act 2022 signed in NIMC. The partnership agreement was reached during a strategic working visit led by DG NIMC Engineer Abisoye Koka Odusote to the Honorable Minister of Defense General Christopher Gwabin Musa, retired, in Abuja. The report.
The visit by NIMC to the Defense Ministry in Abuja featured discussions centered on the critical role of trusted digital identity in enhancing identity verification, strengthening security in supporting defense operations, and improving interagency collaboration.
For us in the security industry, data is critical. Knowing who we're dealing with, who we're expecting, who we're even with, because sometimes the enemy is within. So it's important for us to be able to, identify that who are the foreigners. Explicitly, these are things that we do. So,
speaking on the implementation of the newly enacted NIMC Act 2026 and its strategic importance to national security, Director General NIMC and NIMC Director Program and Strategy, in separate remarks, highlighted key areas of improvements in the landmark legislation.
Instead of relying heavily on foreign trust frameworks, Nigeria now possesses a sovereign digital identity and trust architecture that is capable of supporting national security, critical infrastructure, and international digital interactions.
In response, the Defense Principal General Staff Officer, Brigadier General O.M. Azuikbe noted the efforts of the ministry in apprehending fake NIN registration officers along Nigeria's borders, with the resolution to onboard all security agencies in the fight against cybercrimes.
Right now, what we used to have initially was we used to have the security agencies just send us letters asking us about identity. Can you help us identify this person? So majority of them have been integrated. I think that we've only got 2 left outstanding for us to integrate. I think ICPC and also your ministry.
The meeting concluded with the Defense Minister reading the Riot Act to all criminal elements.
Talk down about Nigeria is issues of identity. They have this general belief that when you come to Nigeria, you can disappear and do everything. But now this has shown that there is no hiding place. So the message is for all the criminals too. And identity tells that, look, it's gone. Nigeria is a new page, and we're really very proud of that.
The strategic working visit here in Abuja concluded with a proposal to set up a technical working group on addressing the interoperability of data sharing among security agencies to enhance crime fighting. From the nation's capital, Bito Brian, Adbn News.
The Senate on Thursday resolved to strictly enforce its rules against ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government that failed to honor invitations to appear before its committees for oversight and budget performance reviews. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion sponsored by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, over what lawmakers described as the persistent refusal of several government agencies to appear before Senate committees to defend their budgets and account for public funds. Moving the motion, Senator Musa expressed concern over the growing disregard for legislative oversight by some agencies, warning that the trend undermines accountability and transparency in public administration.
Or furnish the information requested in blatant disregard of the oversight powers vested in the National Assembly by the Constitution. This persistent non-compliance constitutes a direct affront to the constitutional authority of the Senate, undermines the doctrine of separation of powers and checks and balances, weakens legislative oversight, and erodes transparency and accountability in the management of public resources.
Supporting the motion, Senator Abdul Ningi said the Senate could no longer continue pleading with government agencies to perform what he described as their constitutional obligation.
The committee has reported this infraction. The House can say, give the committee a final warning to now request the presence of these organizations. If that does not work, the committee will now write not to the President of the Senate, not the President of the Senate writing, the legislature, as we are now, we can now write to the President.
Similarly, Senator Adams Oshomole maintained that the repeated failure of some agencies to appear before lawmakers had nothing to do with President Bola Tinubu, insisting that responsibility rests squarely with the heads of the defaulting institutions.
Talking about the executive, we should be very clear that this executive does not mean the head of the executive section. But I do, of course, understand that all MDAs are under the executive. There may be some of our agents in the Senate who might take some actions or behave in a manner that did not receive your approval. But that does not mean that is the Senate position. So that said, that this is not about the president. It is about the MDAs, and we should be so specific.
Contributing to the debate, Senator Danladi Mvulu-Anza cited Section 89, Sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution arguing that the Senate possesses the constitutional authority to issue warrants compelling the appearance of officials who ignore legislative summons.
May I refer to the confirmation of Mr. President, Section 89, Subsection D of this Constitution, in total agreement with the submission of distinguished Senator Orji, with respect to the fact that the presidency should not be involved in this matter because the constitutional powers conferred in the Senate on the Senate is clearly spelled out.
Reacting to the debate, Senate President Godswill Akpabio acknowledged the concerns raised by lawmakers, but faulted Senator Sani Musa for not fully utilizing the powers already available to his committee to ensure compliance.
Senator Baribe, I was saying, now you see, now you know. He just joined us, but he has read the rules, he has read the Constitution. Because clearly speaking, we cannot lament. We can't lament. We have the powers from the ground norm that rules the country, and that is the Nigerian Constitution. Senator Olaka, am I right? So by mentioning Senator Section 89 and trying to remind us of our powers, he's saying we shouldn't be discussing this issue, that we should exercise, we should act, and go into other issues.
Senator Ogoshi Onawo reminded the Senate President of an earlier incident involving Senator Oshomole and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited.
We invited some people, they refused to come. And we wanted to invoke the powers of the Senate. There was a proposal that the Senate President was going to be approached to give powers to invite these people by summoning or a warrant of arrest. This Senate turned it down. And so the other agencies were emboldened to do that.
The debate became more animated after Senator Oshomole proposed an additional prayer empowering the Senate President to promptly approve requests for warrants against heads of agencies who repeatedly ignore Senate invitations.
The committees of the Senate shall, in line with the provision of the Constitution, recommend to the Senate President, who shall be obliged, in line with the Constitution, to issue bench warrant or warrant of arrest on any agency that defaults. I want that to be specifically stated, and it should be done with decorum. I agree.
Sorry. When
but
you have
you will to exercise that power,
when you have additional prayers, you don't go back into debate. That is the rule of the Senate. Any additional prayer.
No, I'm saying it should not be done with decorum, so that the Senate President shall have no excuse not to exercise the powers vested on you.
You are going into debate.
Responding, the Senate President maintained that while the Senate possesses constitutional powers to compel attendance, such powers must always be exercised strictly in accordance with the Constitution, relevant laws, and the Senate's standing orders.
The rule does not give power to the committees to issue warrant of arrest. No, listen now.
Yes, sir.
And the rule does not say that we should not talk to people with decorum. A situation where we tell head of an agency that a person is a thief and that the entire agency or the entire NNPC is full of fraudsters, that is too conclusive, and that they are thieves, then we expect them to go and represent Nigeria when NNPC is 100% owned by Nigeria. So these are the issues. So don't jump into something that you were not very well briefed.
Following extensive deliberations, the Senate resolved to call on the Secretary to the Government of the Federation the head of the civil service of the Federation, and all ministers to ensure that agencies under their supervision promptly honor invitations from the National Assembly. The lawmakers further resolved that any ministry, department, or agency that deliberately refuses to appear before Senate committees or obstructs legislative oversight would henceforth face sanctions under the 1999 Constitution, the Legislative Houses Act, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and the Senate Standing Orders. Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Tanimu Yakubu, has told the House of Representatives that no public funds were released or spent for the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, PFIPC, despite a 1.3 billion naira allocation in the 2026 Appropriation Act. Yakubu said all payments were suspended after concerns emerged over the council's legal status, adding that the Budget Office directed the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Accountant General to withhold all disbursements. The House Committee investigating the matter questioned how the PFIPC was included in the budget without a valid establishing law and said its probe would focus on identifying lapses in the approval process. Enugu aircraft carrying 72 passengers and crew members veered off the runway after landing at Benin Airport, Edo State, on Thursday. The Embraer 170 aircraft operating the Enugu-Benin-Lagos route experienced a runway excursion at about 1:57 p.m. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and emergency responders swiftly evacuated everyone on board. No injuries or fatalities were recorded, and the situation was brought under control. FAN and Enugu Air confirmed the incident, while the airline reaffirmed its commitment to safety. Aviation authorities have launched an investigation to determine the cause, as normal flight operations have resumed at the airport.
The worker they come this side. Now they think as a customer they come here, I won't go say market. Now they think come now I come the come turn back what the phone like this. Now I come look at the aeroplane. People come they begin the rush. They say what did they happen where this thing come phone like that. So as we reach there now they say maybe now it don't get problem. I make it come phone like that. So I told you the time where rain they fall.
Concerning the air crash, this tree has been an impediment for all the time. The plane may likely be clashing on that tree. So if the authority can deem it wise to clear it, it will be more better.
Meanwhile, Enugu Air says one of its aircraft experienced a runway excursion after landing at Benin Airport on Thursday. The airline confirmed that all passengers and crew safely disembarked with no injuries recorded. The airline said the aircraft has been secured while aviation authorities investigate the incident. It added that some flights may be rescheduled, reaffirming that passenger safety remains its top priorities. The Edo State government has flagged up the distribution of free fertilizer to more than 12,000 profiled farmers across the state's 3 senatorial districts under the federal government's Renewed Hope Agricultural Support Program. The initiative is aimed at boosting food production, improving farmers' yields, and strengthening food security across Edo State. Speaking at the flag-off ceremony in Benin City, the Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Jerry Nwangwe, said the state had received an initial batch of 8,000 bags of fertilizer from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
This is a result of a deliberate policy and investment made by the administration under the leadership of His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. To the small holder farmers who who are the true heroes of our food system. This ceremony is not just a formal exercise, but a reflection on the federal government's continued commitment towards ensuring food availability and security, improving rural livelihoods, and promoting sustainable agricultural practice across the country.
Representatives of the National Agricultural Development Fund and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture described the program as part of the federal government's commitment to supporting rural farmers, increasing agricultural productivity, and promoting sustainable farming practices.
Nigeria's Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu for this great initiative, the Renewed Hope Agenda. It is our pleasure having this today, because after this exercise and after the distribution, we are expecting to have more yield of agricultural produce in Edo State.
Beneficiaries welcomed the initiative, describing it as timely support that would reduce production costs and increase output during the farming season.
I'm so happy seeing this kind of organized section of the agric, that when this thing was to take place, when I heard it, I was surprised. I said it will work, not knowing that it's going to take place. So I am happy today that this thing is taking place today.
I want to say thank you so much for this wonderful fertilizer that has been organized for farmers here in Edo State. We are particularly elated. We, the Women in Agriculture Network, we are particularly happy that this will boost food production, both in our backyard farming practice and even those who are doing it in a more elaborate form. We are so happy that this will go a long way to go. It's a very big boost in our farm produce and production.
As distribution begins across the state, the program is expected to strengthen agricultural productivity, improve farmers' livelihood, and food sufficiency. The Corps Marshal of the Federal Safety Corps, Sheikh Mohammed, has directed commanding officers nationwide to hold patrol team commanders accountable for any unprofessional conduct during operations. The directive, he said, is aimed at eliminating extortion, abuse of authority, indiscipline, and other forms of misconduct, while strengthening public confidence in the Corps. Commanding officers have also been ordered to intensify supervision and ensure strict compliance with operational guidelines and ethical standards. The Corps Marshal warned that any officer found guilty of misconduct will face disciplinary action, reaffirming the FRSC's zero-tolerance policy on corruption and commitment to professional service delivery. You're watching Adbn News at 2. Stay with us for more stories. Court has upheld the nomination of Governor Abiodun Oyebanji as the All Progressives Congress candidate for the June 20th governorship election in Ekiti State. In a unanimous judgment, a 5-member panel dismissed the appeal filed by APC governorship aspirant Abimbola Olawumi, ruling that her case lacked merit and that several of her applications and appeal grounds were incompetent. The Apex Court also held that the suit was statute barred and that the constitutional deadline for determining pre-election matters had expired. Katsina State government says it is implementing new measures to tackle multidimensional poverty and reduce the number of out-of-school children across the state. Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Yusuf Jibia, said the government has set up a committee to integrate informal education into the formal school system and has begun implementing the National Safe Schools policy. He added that security has been strengthened in schools through the deployment of mobile police, community watch corps, and vigilante groups. Jibia also disclosed that the state has recruited over 9,000 teachers since the current administration took office, including 2,158 recently deployed to schools as part of efforts to improve education quality and restore confidence in the sector. Osun State government has banned all activities of the National Union of Road Transport Workers in motor parks across the state. Governor Ademola Adeleke issued a directive after a meeting of the State Security Council, ordering police and other security agencies to stop the union's operations and arrest anyone acting as its official or executive. The government said the ban is aimed at restoring order in motor parks and stopping the collection of levies, warning that anyone who violates the directive will face arrest and possible prosecution. The Central Bank of Nigeria has moved to clear up confusion over the country's smaller currency denominations, confirming that coins and lower value notes remain legal tender even as they become scarcer in everyday circulation. The CBN also says Nigeria's bank recapitalization drive is turning out to be a success story. Our business correspondent, Osam Raphael, has details.
Central Bank Governor Olayemi Kadelso says the declining presence of coins and lower naira notes isn't a policy withdrawal. It's simply market forces at work. He links the shrinking demand for coins and small notes to Nigeria's push towards financial inclusion and a more digitized economy.
They are still legal tender. And to the extent that the central bank has not said otherwise, please assume they are legal tender. Now, the question as to why we do not have as many of them in circulation as may be perceived that some would want is a question of demand and supply, quite frankly. Where the ecosystem is moving, as indeed we want it to move, to one of financial inclusion, where digitization is becoming increasingly important to many. So if there's not need for coins or for lesser denominations, then there's no need to have them really.
Kadelso also addressed the banking sector recapitalization exercise, in which 33 out of 37 banks met the new capital requirement, a move he says has significantly strengthened the industry. He adds that Nigeria banks now dominate financial markets across the African continent.
The fact that Nigerian banks dominate the African continent in many respects. They are all over the place, and they are helping to catalyze change in the commerce in many countries on Africa. So I think that is a good thing, and I think the recapitalization exercise has been a successful one. And I can say to Nigerians that our industry has been considerably strengthened, and that going forward we will see that as they themselves begin to build their buffers, you'll find a more healthier and increasingly healthier banking system that all of us can be very proud about.
For now, the message from the central bank is clear. The recapitalization exercise is a milestone worth celebrating, even as the industry continues its shift towards a more digitized, cashless future. Awesome Raffle, Adbn News.
Residents of Obia community in Ahoda West local government area of Rivers State staged a peaceful protest demanding that Total Energies fulfill its corporate social responsibility commitments and long-standing development agreements. Carrying placards with various inscriptions, the protesters marched through key parts of the community, insisting that years of oil exploration should translate into improved infrastructure, employment opportunities, and environmental remediation. Community leaders, including elder statesmen, youth representatives, and the paramount ruler of Ubaruma community, Chief Nathan Ogechi, described the demonstration as a peaceful call for accountability and renewed partnership with the oil company.
The road was completely okay. When they entered, they enjoyed the road. When they started their operation, along the line, all the road that they use to their various places within UBA and within where they operate, there is nothing to write about as we speak with you. Our people are these loving people, and we are ready to engage with them whenever they are ready. But for them to have given us a condition that if we don't live here, they will not dialogue. No, they should stay in the office, so we will stay here. Yeah. We will see who will be at loss at the end of it. Who will be a mechanic?
Project and the one we are presenting to them that we have all agreed be signed, and the one that's already signed, implemented, and the one is yet to be signed and implemented, so that everybody will be at peace. While they are busy doing their work, we are also receiving the benefit.
A South African court has temporarily halted impeachment proceedings against President Cyril Ramaphosa over the controversial Phala Phala cash scandal, pending the outcome of his legal challenge to a 2022 report that found he may have committed misconduct. Ramaphosa, who denies any wrongdoing, is accused of failing to properly report the theft of about $580,000 allegedly hidden at his Phala Phala farm. He maintains the money came from the sale of buffaloes and that the burglary was reported to police. The court's decision pauses the parliamentary impeachment process until the case is heard in the was set up. The Constitutional Court overturned the impeachment panel was the South African's Constitutional Court overturned an earlier parliamentary vote that blocked the proceedings. The United Nations has called on parties involved in the Middle East conflict to facilitate safe evacuation and repatriation of about 6,000 seafarers stranded in the Strait of Hormuz. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk warned that the stranded sailors are facing a worsening humanitarian crisis and urged governments, ship owners, and other stakeholders to ensure their protection, provide essential supplies, and arrange safe passage. He also stressed that attacks on civilian vessels violate international humanitarian law. The appeal comes as tensions in the region escalated following fresh U.S. strikes on Iran and renewed attacks by Iran-backed Houthi rebels on oil tankers in the Red Sea, despite U.S. assurances that the Strait of Hormuz remains open for transit. AC Milan midfielder Luka Modric has signed a one-year contract extension, keeping him at the club beyond his 41st birthday in September. The Croatian veteran joined Milan last summer on an initial one-year deal, with the club holding an option to extend his stay following his departure from Real Madrid. After ending a remarkable 13-year spell with the Spanish Giants, Modric made 37 appearances for Milan last season, scoring 2 goals as the club finished 5th in the league and reached the last 16 of the Coppa Italia. This season, Modric will play under new Milan head coach Ruben Amorim, who succeeded Massimiliano Allegri following his dismissal in June. Arsenal are set to make a £70 million offer for Newcastle captain Bruno Guimaraes. Brazil international Guimaraes is a priority target for the Gunners, with the midfielder keen to join the Premier League champions. Newcastle are aware of the 28-year-old preference to join Arsenal this summer. Talks over a potential move for Guimaraes are ongoing and are believed to have accelerated in recent days. The agreement of personal terms is not expected to be an issue, though it remains to be seen if Arsenal's £70 million offer will meet Newcastle's valuation. Crystal Palace defender Maxime Lacroix is set to join Chelsea on a long-term contract after the clubs reached agreement on a deal for the player. Both clubs held positive talks over a move for the France international on Tuesday, with Palace seeking about £60 million for the centre-back. An agreement has now been reached between the two clubs, with personal terms not believed to be an issue. Lacroix is expected to undergo a medical in the next 24 hours before signing a long-term contract, understood to run until 2032. The National Film and Video Censors Board has launched a masterclass series aimed at enhancing the skills and professionalism of filmmakers and other stakeholders in Nigeria's creative industry. The maiden edition, held in Lagos, focused on legal issues in filmmaking, content monetization, and production standards. NFVCB Executive Director Dr. Shaibu Hussaini said the initiative is an investment in the future of Nigeria's film industry. Veteran actress Joke Silva and filmmaker Femi Odugbemi were among the facilitators, with participants urging continued capacity building programs to strengthen professionalism, innovation, and sustainability in the industry. Veteran Nollywood actress Ngozi Nwosu is appealing to the public for financial help as she battles a serious undisclosed illness. In an emotional video posted to her Instagram page, the actress said she's been hospitalized for 3 weeks and is facing 3 surgeries. Speaking from her hospital bed, a visibly weakened Nwosu pleaded with fans, friends, and family not to abandon her, saying her condition has gone beyond her control. Nwosu has not disclosed the nature of her illness, but she says the 3 surgeries she needs are expected to cost about 30 million naira. Award-winning Nigerian singer Tenny has released her new EP, The Wellness Package, a project centered on personal growth, healing, and everyday joy. The EP also marks the start of Tenny's partnership with Gamma and features collaborations with Olamide, Chike, and The Caveman, with standout tracks including Zion and Wuru Maya. The release follows the success of Zion, which has recorded over 20 million streams as